Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Right here in the live studios in Hythe, Kent, southeast England, just near the English Channel. We hope you're all safe and happy and well in all respects. We'll get right into it. I'm a little late today. We're immersed in the proof hearing and making corrections to the audio files of the whole Chaitanya Charitamrita, hopefully to finish by Gaur Purnima or before. It's taking minimum 4 hours a day, which is a big chunk. I haven't been able to do much other things. But here we are. This is the most favorite time of the day. First, let's hear the Srimad Bhagavata Mahima Stotra to set the stage, set the scene. Srila Sanatana Goswami, the author of Brhad Bhagavatamrta, which we're reading now, is also the author of this stotra, glorifying the Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'm reading it every day because the Brhad Bhagavatamrta is based on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it goes like this. Sarva Shastrabdipi Yusha Sarva Vedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnaja Sarva Lokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu Kalidwan Dotita Ditya Sri Krishna Parivartita. O life air of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master, Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Sri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshacharayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Sri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguru Man Mahadana Man Nistadaka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Asadu Saduta Dayin Adini Chochatakada Hanamun Chakada Inmam Premna Rit Kantayospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, we've reached the 4th chapter of the first part of Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Narada Muni has reached Prahlad Maharaj, sent to him by Lord Shiva. And now Prahlad Maharaj is now refuting the praise of Narada. We're beginning with text 26. Prahlad Maharaj is speaking to Narada. O greatest of devotees who have nothing material to possess, when the personality of Godhead gave me a kingdom, I understood that I had not received even one atom of his mercy. Commentary. Self-realized sages are called paramahamsas when they have given up all material ambitions. But the greatest Paramahamsas are those who have also abandoned the desire for liberation and the sense of being self-satisfied in impersonal realization. Narada is the best of such Vaishnava Paramahamsas. Prahlad addresses him like this to imply that Narada should certainly understand the fallen condition of one who becomes entangled in political responsibilities. Thus Prahlad asserts, Lord Nishinga hardly blessed me with his favor. By giving me my father's kingdom, he actually punished me severely. 27. As the Lord says, when I wish to favor someone, I make him lose his opulence. Such statements as this are evidence, and also are the statements of his exalted devotees. Commentary. In the first half of this verse, Prahlad cites Srimad Bhagavatam 10:27-16, where Sri Krishna advises the repentant Indra. Sri Krishna has made the same point in other contexts, as in his comment to Yudhishthira Maharaj in Bhagavatam 10:88-8. Yasyaham anugrinami harishye tadanam shanahi. If I actually favor someone, I gradually make him lose all his wealth. The same point is also made by devotees like Sudama Brahmana and Vritrasura. In the words of Sudama, to a devotee who lacks spiritual insight, the Supreme Lord will not grant the wonderful opulences of this world, kingly power and material assets. Indeed, in his infinite wisdom, the unborn Lord well knows how the intoxication of pride can cause the downfall of the wealthy. Bhagavatam 10:81-37. And as stated by Vritra, persons who fully surrender at the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and always think of his lotus feet are accepted and recognized by the Lord as his own personal assistants or servants. The Lord never bestows upon such servants the brilliant opulences of the upper, lower, or middle planetary systems of this material world. When one possesses material opulence in any one of three divisions of the universe, his possessions naturally increase his enmity, anxiety, mental agitation, pride, and belligerence. Thus one goes through much endeavor to increase and maintain his possessions, and he suffers great unhappiness when he loses them. Bhagavatam 6:11-22. Text 28. Just see how my worship of the Lord has been eclipsed by my attachment to ruling my kingdom and by my ties to family members, servants, and others. For not crying over this in remorse, I should be condemned again and again. What humility. Commentary. Narada might suggest that material facilities are dangerous for immature devotees, whereas those who are fully self-realized need not fear becoming distracted from their worship of the Lord. Sudama Brahmana had talked about neophyte devotees who lack spiritual insight. Bhagavatam 10:81-37. And whom the personality of Godhead has to protect from the danger of too much material opulence. But Prahlad is a fully self-realized devotee with mature insight into the true value of the Supreme Lord's devotional service. Mere sense gratification and political power are not going to distract him. As Lord Krishna told King Muchukunda, the intelligence of my unalloyed devotees is never diverted by material blessings. Bhagavatam 10:15, 51. He similarly says to Uddhava, one who has unflinching devotion for me will never be defeated by sense gratification. Bhagavatam 11:14, 18. Prahlad replies here that he has been distracted and deviated from pure devotion, a fact that proves that he never actually received the full mercy of the Supreme Lord. According to Prahlad's lament, his concentrated meditation on being protected by the Lord has now become completely eclipsed. He carefully says eclipsed rather than destroyed, because he knows very well that Bhagavad Bhakti is purely spiritual. It is eternal and can never be destroyed, only temporarily covered by material contamination of the soul's consciousness. Text 29. Why else would I have fought against the renowned Lord at Vishala, as if I had reverted to the low conditioning of my birth? Commentary. In this verse, Prahlad resorts to a kind of logic technically known as anyata anupapati, or negative hypothesis. This form of logic works as follows. Devotee is fat, but we do not see him eating during the day. Therefore he must be eating at night, while everyone else is asleep. We cannot explain his fatness without presuming his eating at night. Similarly, Prahlad argues here that there is no way to explain his fighting against Lord Narayana, but to accept that his devotion to the Lord has become eclipsed. The dual incarnation of the personality of Godhead in the forms known as Narayana appeared in order to teach how to perform devotional austerity. They reside in the Himalayas at a place variously called Vishala and Badrika. The first and fourth cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam discuss this incarnation. In the fourth incarnation, the Lord becomes Nara and Narayana, the twin sons of the wife of King Dharma. Thus he undertook severe and exemplary penances to control the senses. Bhagavatam 1.3, 9. Thus the demigods worshipped with prayers the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing as the sage Narayana. The Lord glanced upon them with mercy and then departed for Gandhamadana hill. Bhagavatam 4.1.58. Prahlad refers to the conditioning of my birth. His being a descendant of demons, the natural enemies of Lord Vishnu and the Vaishnavas, was too distasteful for him to mention directly. Even more unmentionable was his being the son of one of the staunchest haters of Vishnu. Text 30. The demons, in their teachings, are always inclined to bad scholarship about the truth of the self. Because of my association with such demons, even today my understanding is not free from the degraded element of dry speculation. Commentary. Prahlad insists that even before he fell into materialistic sense gratification by becoming a king, he had never been completely free from demoniac qualities. In particular, he was expert, like other demons, in expounding impersonal theories about the eternal soul. Such theories, full of bad scholarship, tried to establish the perfection of life in impersonal knowledge, without devotion to the Supreme. Prahlad thinks that by living with the Daityas and imbibing their attitudes, he became infected with this taste for impersonal speculation. This taste is adama, base and contemptible, because it subverts the ecstatic personal exchanges of bhakti rasa. Text 31. So how can any pure devotion appear in me that would signify the Lord's mercy? I see proof of my lack of devotion when I ponder the wickedness of Banasura. Commentary. Pure devotional service is free from predominance by karma and jnana. The author Vopadev has explained pure devotion in his book Mukta Palam by citing the words of Lord Kapila-dev. Pure devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead is causeless and uninterrupted. Prahlad is intensely aware of the meaning of pure devotion, as shown by his mindfulness of the bad character of his great-grandson, Banasura. Bana rejected the worship of his family's traditional deity, Sri Vishnu, and instead took shelter of Lord Shiva. He also abused Krishna's grandson, Aniruddha, by arresting him. Prahlad argues, how can anyone, excuse me, I need a little more light here. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Prahlad argues, how can anyone with such a wicked person in his family possess pure devotion for the Lord? By this, Prahlad means to refute Lord Shiva's argument that Krishna's sparing Bana was a sign that Prahlad had received Sri Krishna's mercy. In fact, Prahlad thinks killing Bana would have been better than sparing him. Text 32. I have heard some say that now, after arresting and imprisoning Bali, the Lord stays here in Sutala as the doorman, just to keep him captive. I'll read that again. This is funny. I have heard some say that now, after arresting and imprisoning Bali, the Lord stays here in Sutala as the doorman just to keep him captive. In any case, I cannot say where the Lord is now. Commentary. Narada met Prahlad on the planet Sutala, the domain of Bali Maharaj. As mentioned before, Prahlad was staying there for some time on the invitation of Lord Vamana. Prahlad had heard from reputable sages that Sri Vamanadev stays at Bali's gate just to keep Bali from escaping Sutala Loka. This opinion is expressed to Banasura by his friend Kushmanda in the Sri Harivangsha 2.116.44. There, Kushmanda depicts Bali as a prisoner in Sutala. My dear king, your father Bali has been defeated by the strength of Vishnu and is now in captivity. But in the future, he will be able to escape through the vast ocean and somewhere obtain a kingdom. Bali's residence in Sutala is further described as imprisonment in the section of the Uttarakanda 23 of Valmiki's Ramayana that narrates Ravana's conquests in the region of Patala. By this argument, Prahlad counters Narada's words in text 13, O best of Vaishnavas, why should I say that Lord Mukunda has been conquered only by you. Your grandson Bali, chief of the Daityas, has also conquered him. Narada might respond by pointing out that Prahlad has the opportunity to see Lord Vishnu in Sutala Loka whenever he wants, whereas even Shiva, Brahma, and other great demigods can rarely see him. Prahlad here anticipates and defeats this idea by saying, it would be evidence of the Lord's mercy on me if I could see him always, but at the moment, I do not even know where he is. And if I do not know, how can I freely have his audience? Sometimes he shows himself here, but not continuously. Text 33. On rare occasions, some persons like Ravana can see the Lord here. The Lord shows himself only when it suits his own purpose. He thus showed himself in this very place to Durvasa, because Durvasa had strong faith in being able to see the Lord. Commentary. While invading the region of Patala, Ravana came to the entrance of Bali Maharaja's capital. But Lord Vamana, standing at the gate with club in hand, refused to let Ravana enter, and neglectfully kicked him far away. Prahlad argues that this is not proof of Sri Vamana's constant presence at Bali's door. The Lord appeared there on this one occasion for the special purpose of protecting Bali from being conquered by Ravana. On another occasion, Durvasa, who was living at Kushasthali, the site of the future city of Dwarka, was troubled by the demon Kusha and his cohorts. Kushasthali's ancient guardians, Durvasa went to Sutala to ask Lord Vamana for help. As related in the Dwarka Mahatmya of the Skanda Purana, Prabhas Kanda 4:18, it was Narada who had advised Durvasa to go to Lord Vamana in Sutala, and had assured Durvasa he would indeed find Lord Vamana there. Because Durvasa had trusted Narada's words, Lord Vamana upheld their truth by allowing Durvasa his darshan. Text 34. Wherever one develops an intense desire to achieve the Supreme Lord, there one can obtain him. But the Lord's merely residing in a certain place does not grant one his association. Commentary. The personality of Godhead does not give himself away to those whose desires are not absolutely pure. Only perfect love can induce him to reveal himself. If the Lord's present in a place where is sufficient cause for realizing him, then every living being throughout the universe should already have attained him, since in his form as Sri Vasudeva the Supersoul, he is all-pervading. Pure devotees are convinced that the Lord is permanently present in his eternal abodes that have appeared on earth. That conviction, however, is born of the devotee's fervent eagerness to realize their personal relationship with the Lord. Without that strong desire, one will not have much faith in his presence. It is true that in Vrindavan and some other abodes of the Supreme Lord, even devotees with immature faith are sometimes granted a vision of the Lord and his pastimes. But we should understand that this occurs only by the special potency of these places, which are exceptionally dear to the personality of Godhead. Nowadays, the Lord does not reveal himself as easily in every holy place where he appeared in the past. Text 35. If my Lord were always present here in person, why would I have traveled all the way to Naimisharanya to see him as Lord Pitabhasa, the yellow-garbed form of Narayana? 36. We can say that by your mercy, the Supreme Lord developed some love for me, and so I appear glorious. But my greatness is just like a tiny speck before the heaps of mercy the Lord bestows on his newer devotees. Commentary. Out of humility and respect for his guru, Narada, Prahlad now realizes that he should not have contradicted Narada's statements. Therefore, he now approaches the question from another angle, acknowledging Narada's words, but reinterpreting them. Newer devotees, like Hanuman, Prahlad says, were favored by the Supreme Lord much more. After a person has seen the great ocean, the sign of a small lake will no longer impress him. Text 37. O Narada, your heart overflows with causeless compassion. Why should I go on describing all my misfortunes, which simply make you unhappy? Instead, please consider the Lord's mercy of Hanuman, of the Kim Purushas. Commentary. Since Narada is naturally compassionate to all suffering souls, Prahlad thinks Narada has been seeking just to encourage him with words of exaggerated praise. And so Prahlad thinks that to continue describing his own misfortune will distress Narada, his spiritual master, thus resulting in Guru Aparad. Narada cannot tolerate unhappiness in anyone, especially his own disciple. Since Narada is intent on finding the true recipient of the Supreme Lord's mercy, Prahlad tries to divert Narada's attention by proposing Hanuman as an alternative. He tells Narada, Pasha, don't just accept my word on this. Please go witness his glories for yourself. Text 38. Please note, my Lord, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared suddenly in his form of Narasingha just to kill my father. And as soon as the Lord fulfilled his purpose, he at once disappeared. Text 39. I haven't been able to see my Lord directly whenever I wanted. So when I saw him once on the shore of the ocean, it was like seeing a dream. Commentary. Prahlad claims that since the time he saw Lord Nrsimha, when the Lord appeared from a pillar to kill Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad has not had much opportunity to see him again, what to speak of serve him and develop a personal relationship. When Nrsimhadev had first appeared, Prahlad's spontaneous devotion was hampered by the novelty and shock of the moment, and by his own fear and reverence. The dramatic setting and the palace on the shore of the ocean, in the presence of many demigods and sages, made it difficult to Prahlad to freely express his love. This is described in some detail in the Haribhakti Sudodaya 14. Text 40. But Hanuman is much more fortunate. For many thousands of years, he has enjoyed serving the Lord constantly without obstruction. Commentary. According to Sri Ramayana, Hanuman stayed with Lord Ramachandra on this earth for more than 11,000 years. Srimad Bhagavatam, however, says that he served his Lord directly for more than 13,000 years. In the 9th canto, 9:11-18 and 36, the Bhagavatam states, after Mother Sita entered the earth, Lord Ramachandra observed complete celibacy and performed an uninterrupted Agnihotra Yajna for 13,000 years. Wow! Hare Krishna. Without transgressing the religious principles, Lord Ramachandra, whose lotus feet are worshipped by devotees in meditation, enjoyed with all the paraphernalia of transcendental pleasure for as long as needed. Hanuman remained with Lord Ramachandra all this time. He is the most powerful person. This is text 41. He is the most powerful person. When he was just a child, the demigods favored him with several wonderful benedictions. Thus he became immune to old age and death. Commentary. Hanuman's unique strength and his other qualities mentioned in this verse and the next enhance his unimpeded service to Lord Ramachandra. In Sri Ramayana, Uttarakhanda 35 and 36, as soon as Hanuman was born, he saw the sun rising over his head and thought it to be some ripe fruit hanging from a tree. He jumped up to catch it and would have done so had Indra not intervened to protect the sun by hurling the thunderbolt weapon, striking Hanuman in the jaw and felling him unconscious to the earth. Hanuman's father, Vayu, greatly angered, decided to withhold the force of breath all over the universe, and all the denizens of the universe began to suffocate. To save the universal population, Brahma and other chief demigods came to Hanuman, revived him, and granted him various benedictions. Text 42. He is free of all fear. He maintains great vows, and he performs auspicious deeds. Outstanding among heroes, he is an exceptional servant of the Lord of the Raghus. Commentary. Among the vows of Hanuman, the greatest was his strict celibacy. His auspicious deeds included thoroughly studying all the Vedic literature and acquiring the skills of a poet. His heroism was proven by his exploits in battle. He was a hero in every sense of the word, as described by Bharat Muni, the authority on poetry. Lord Brahma has defined three kinds of vira, or hero: the hero in charity, the hero in religion, and the hero in battle. There is also a mood of personal reciprocation called vira, or heroism. Text 43. With playful disregard, he jumped across thousands of miles of fathomless ocean. Expertly, in the capital of the Rakshasa king, he comforted Mother Sita in her distress. He boldly threatened his enemies, burned Lanka, and destroyed its citadel. When he brought back news of Sita, he received his master's deep embrace. Commentary. Hanuman audaciously challenged Ravana and the other Rakshasas by killing everyone Ravana sent to stop him from destroying the Ashok Grove. First 80,000 Rakshasas, soldiers, then the great demon, Jambumali, then the 7 sons of Ravana's ministers, the 5 commanders of Ravana's armies, and Ravana's own son, Akshaya Kumar. When Hanuman delivered to Lord Ramachandra the news that Sita was safe, the Lord was extremely pleased with him. In texts 43 and 44, Prahlad has listed Hanuman's accomplishments in order of increasing importance. Each additional deed was a more significant reason for Lord Ramachandra's accepting Hanuman as his personal associate. Text 45. It was Hanuman who acted as his Lord's best carrier, his tail serving as a royal white umbrella, his broad back a comfortable seat for the Lord. And it was Hanuman who directed the project of bridging the ocean. Commentary. Hanuman is the best of all the Lord's carriers, including Garuda. When his master needed to travel from Kishkinda to the southern shore of the ocean, Hanuman carried him all the way on his broad, beautiful, soft back. In modern times, people like the liberty to carry umbrellas of any color they like. But traditionally, only kings were allowed to use white umbrellas. To equip Lord Ramachandra with this symbol of royalty while in the forest, where manufactured umbrellas were not available, Hanuman provided his own white tail. Hanuman took a major part in building the bridge to Lanka, and he inspired the monkey labor force by hurling the largest boulders into place. Text 46. He fulfilled the desires of Bibhishana. He destroyed the military force of the Rakshasas, and he held the special power to deliver the healing herb called Vishalya Karani. Commentary. Bibhishana, even though Ravana's brother, always wanted to become a servant of Lord Ramachandra. Early on, Hanuman furthered Bibhishana's cause by telling the Lord about his saintly behavior. And when Bibhishana defected and crossed the ocean, Hanuman arranged for him to meet with the Lord. The acts of Hanuman mentioned up to this point correspond to those narrated in Sri Ramayana in the Kishkinda Kanda and Sundara Kanda. From here on, beginning with the phrase Raksho Balavinasha Krit, destroyer of the Rakshala's military force, through the phrase in text 49, Sita Pramodana, encourager of Sita, the accomplishments of Hanuman in the Yuddhakanda are briefly described. Srila Sanatana Goswami assumed that his readers were familiar with Valmiki's Ramayana and therefore left out further details of these stories to avoid needlessly increasing the size of his book. During the battle between Lord Ramachandra's armies and those of Ravana, Ravana's son Indrajit attacked in the middle of the night, resorted to magic, and made all the monkey soldiers unconscious. At that time, Sri Lakshmana also played the pastime of becoming unconscious in order to fulfill a prediction by Brahma. On the advice of the physician Shusena, Hanuman set out to find the herb Vishalya Karani, which alone could save the lives of Lakshmana and the Vanara soldiers. He was able to bring the herb from Gandhamana mountain not only once but twice. In the course of this, he had to defeat an army of Gandharvas, uproot the entire mountain because he couldn't distinguish which plant was the correct one, and swiftly return before it was too late. Hare Krishna. Hanumanji ki jai. So it's 8 o'clock. I will stop here, the reading, and we'll continue to hear the glories of Hanumanji. Hare Krishna. Do we have any reflections or comments or discussions?
First is a question from Brhad Bhagavatamrta.
Hare Krishna Brhad Bhagavatamrta, back in the first out of the gate.
He says, Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. It appears the glorification of other devotees is very important based on the readings. How does one develop this sincere humility about oneself?
Well, that sincere humility is there in the soul. It's not something that is developed. It's awakened. And it's awakened by associating with those who have it. Just like the sun puts the fire in the wood, and then when the wood comes in contact with a piece of wood on fire, the fire comes out. So in the same way, the qualities of pure devotional service, the natural consciousness of the soul, come out, are awakened in the conditioned soul by being in contact with those persons. And we particularly can get that by associating with these literatures. If we hear submissively these literatures and develop a taste for hearing about them and a liking for being with these personalities, then that natural devotional sentiment of humility and all the other good qualities will come out. They're already there. Therefore, you see in human society, these kinds of qualities are always lauded in poetry and movies and books, drama. People with these kinds of qualities are always the heroes. So by taking the instructions of a bona fide spiritual master seriously, cultivating devotional service, devotional practices in our life, practicing. Practice makes perfect in everything. Then, except with, Prabhupada used to use the example of the baby has the ability to walk in itself. But when it first starts, it goes a couple of steps and falls on its face, and then the parents pick him up and they start again, they hold his hand and start again and hold his hand, and gradually he walks because the ability to walk is there already. If it wasn't there, he wouldn't be able to walk. Hare Krishna.
Next is a question from Gopal Roy Das.
Haribo Gopal Roy.
He says, Dear Maharaj, could you please explain a little more about how the newer devotees are more dear to the Lord than some of his eternal associates? Does one endear themselves to the Lord more by struggling to achieve perfection than by never falling down at all? Please enlighten me, your servant.
It's like a parent will have, a few children, and some of them may be already grown up and doing something substantial in life, and he'll have a little child late in life, and he will be specially pleased by the little child, no matter what he does. So there's a little, how do you say, similarity in the words of Prahlad. I think it was Prahlad, wasn't it Prahlad? Yes, because he considered Hanuman one of the newer devotees. Actually, this was just a ploy. What I just said was true about, people who are younger getting the special affection of people who are older and more experienced. It's natural. That's it. That's as far as I can take it. That's as far as I understand. Hare Krishna.
Next is something from Rati Manjari.
Rati Manjari, I haven't heard from you for a few days. What's happening?
She says, Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my respectful obeisances. Why is Hanuman referred to as one of the newer devotees?
Because he's younger than Prahlad. Hare Krishna.
Next is a question from Bhakta Ben. He says, Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Haribo Bhakta Ben.
Please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. It was very fun hearing the glories of Hanuman tonight. Prior we heard from Prahlad that we can obtain the Lord with an intense desire to achieve Him. Sometimes our desire or determination seems strong, but then seems to wane over time. I wondered if you had any advice on protecting the mood of determination and intensifying it.
Protecting the mood of determination and intensifying it. These are far-out questions. It's the same answer for all these questions. You have to stay in the game. You have to stay in the game. And stay in the game, and if you have to throw all your chips in. The more you throw your chips in, the more you give yourself unconditionally, the more you give yourself, the more you approach the platform of unconditional devotional service, where the determination is very powerful and unstoppable. It's the same answer. It's only by practice over a long period of time, or by the special mercy of an advanced devotee. Sometimes the advanced devotee has something very important to do, or the Lord personally sometimes has something to do, very, very powerful, significant, like Ramachandra having to go and destroy Ravana, playing the part of a human being. So the personalities who were needed, they became empowered by the need of the moment. Just like Prabhupada came to the West, what did we know? What could we do? Nothing. But we did things that were very pleasing to him. We distributed his books. We opened centers. We went back with him to India and just chanted and danced and convinced the big guys in India that of Prabhupada's greatness, because no one else had done that before. So, but that means that, by coming in contact with a person as determined as Prabhupada and just trying to do something for him sincerely, we got all kinds of energies, that were way beyond our capacity. And you could really say that we were newer devotees, the newest devotees on the block. There are so many devotional families in India. They go back. They don't even talk to you if you're not in the right gotra to some great sage or some great devotee in the past. And we were coming from, nobodies from nowhere land, spiritually. And because of Prabhupada's association, and because of our commitment, we threw in the towel. We just threw in the towel of material life and just jumped on Prabhupada's bandwagon and let him carry us. And we got all kinds of determination. And some fell along the wayside because, hey, this is the material world. And we're at war with Maya. But still, any devotee who came in contact with Prabhupada and participated in any way to get these books prepared and published, to open all these centers, to assist him in any way, they got special energy. So this is how you get the determination. You get it by being determined and being connected with the right person. And doing that over time. Reliability over time breeds faith. So we hear a lot about how we have to have faith in the Lord, but we have to gain the Lord's faith. And we do that by, like I said, throwing all our chips. Put some skin in the game, as they say. Put some rubber on the road. And do something pleasing to such a personality. Little thing, anything. And by that association and by that reciprocation with those who are connected with higher and higher devotees, therefore it says, Gopi Bhartu Padakamali Anudas, Anudas. You become the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the protectors of the gopis, Krishna. And in that way you become more and more elevated. Hare Krishna.
As of now, this is the last question.
Well, thank you very much.
From Vilas Manjari.
Hare Krishna, Vilas Manjari.
She says, Dear Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. I appreciated how Prahlad decided to stop talking about his apparent misfortune because he didn't want to cause his spiritual master unhappiness.
That's wonderful, thank you.
Which he said would be an offense.
Yes.
Would you like to comment any further on this?
I think your comment is perfect. I have no more comment. Read it again.
I appreciated how Prahlad decided to stop talking about his apparent misfortune because he didn't want to cause his spiritual master unhappiness, which he said would be an offense.
Yeah. I guess you can compare this to the ultimate example is Srimati Radharani, and in separation from Krishna, she was very, very appeared to be unhappy, but she was actually in ecstasy, but she appeared to be unhappy. And she said she spoke as though if Krishna doesn't come and give me his mercy again, I'll just die. And then she thinks, but if I die, he's going to feel bad. So maybe I won't. So that's the ultimate, example of how, a person who is very, very intimate with another person, a great person, may think like that, might want to display his humility or display what he feels to be misfortune, for not being up to have the complete association or the constant association of a very beloved person or a very great person. But if it's going to make the person cry, or if it's going to make the person feel bad, then if there's real love, then we choose not to do it. That's relationship. That's loving relationship. If you really care about a person, you don't want to, this is real service. You don't want the person to feel bad because, of something you may be doing or maybe thinking of doing or whatever. Hare Krishna. What can I say? I'm just overwhelmed by the depth of the understanding and the attentiveness of the hearing that's going on here now. This scripture is really bringing out the best in all of us, I think. Gopi Puranananda Prabhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Brhad Bhagavatamrta ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. See you tomorrow night, same place, same time, same topic. The creme de la creme of the supreme scriptures of the world, Brhad Bhagavatamrta. Hare Krishna.